Okay, there was a Haarp operation off the coast of Oregon today, October 20th, 2014, and it lasted from sunrise to sundown. And basically they burned these holes in this low pressure system, and they did it in a way to hide it absolutely as much as possible. So it was a lot of extra work for the Haarp operator team, but it's still clearly visible. And let me show you how this looked just a couple hours earlier than this. If we look at the daybreak view, and let me start this so I can run. Okay, here's daybreak on the west coast, and you can see it's circular, it's got counterclockwise rotation. You don't see those three holes. And if we jump ahead a little bit, now the sun's up, and once the sun is up, they're able to reestablish this ionospheric conduit or waveguide to start sending that energy back over. And they're downbursting in three areas to hide the Haarp attack. If we jump ahead a little bit more, now we're starting to see these three areas really clearly. And jump ahead a little more. Now these areas have actually had the storms dried out by descending air, and now they're worried about these other areas that are building up storms. So if you have a look at this area, and now we jump ahead. Whoops, what happened? Got a little too much magnification there. So here is the next, here are the three storms, and now they downburst this storm complex right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 downbursts. And now if we jump ahead again, we see here's some storms, and they downburst this one. So that makes 5 downbursts. We jump ahead a little more. You can see that clearly. That's another downburst with the expanding Haarp roll cloud. Now the sun is beginning to set, and we'll have a look at the here's shortwave infrared. It starts out as a nice strong low pressure. Now if this had just gone on shore, you'd have tons of rain, but look what they do to it. A couple hours later, you see the three holes, and a couple hours after that, it's pretty much it's really losing its form, and then it's gone. Okay, here's water vapor. In the mid-morning, it looks kind of strange. There's something weird happening here, and this dry air is showing up from somewhere. Also, we don't see any real strong rotation, and by midday, it looks even worse. By mid-afternoon, or late afternoon, wow, something's seriously wrong here. There's no rotation right here. This should be spinning counterclockwise, and instead it looks to be going, well, no rotation at all, basically. And this dry air pocket is now moving onshore, and by late afternoon, you have that dry air pushing on, and this low pressure is destroyed. There's no low pressure here. There's a little bit of low pressure right here. So, and just one last view would be the long-wave infrared. It goes from being a strong low pressure to having the three holes show up. And here we can just see them really clear. 1, 2, 3. 3 holes. A couple hours later, it's really just disorganized. And the last one, it's just broken apart. In fact, if we look at, let me just zoom in here. This is actually after sunset, and these lines are actual aerosol trails now. There's a powerful low pressure off to the west, and it's coming, so they spray these geoengineered aerosols too. When the sun comes up, those will form a hot air layer to inhibit any kind of rain showers. But since it's being sprayed just after dark, it's it's quite possible that this is a different chemtrail mix, and it's designed to actually absorb this water and you know, lower the humidity, possibly raise the temperature as well. So that's a kind of scary thing, that if we're not being poisoned enough already with the aluminum and barium, they appear to have these different mixtures. One last thing I've just got to show is the pressure. There's no reason to have those three holes show up. Here we've got this hairpin turn in the jet stream, very strong jet stream. So this is a pretty strong low pressure, and this low pressure goes all the way to the surface. Here's the surface pressure map, and this is about 7 a.m. Central, and we can just see, yep, here's this left-hand turn, that means low pressure, and here's at 1 p.m. Same exact thing, it did not change. This is the surface pressure. If we look at the jet stream, again, here's this left-hand turn, means low pressure. Now the odd thing was, they never updated this map all day long. This is 1200 Zulu, and normally they'll put out an 18 Zulu map, which is about, you know, early afternoon. They never did that today. There was 0 updates on this jet stream map. In other words, there was something here that they wanted to hide, so they never put out a midday map. They have just put out this evening map for 7 p.m. 0 Zulu. This is the next update to the jet stream map. So basically they are acknowledging there was something midday that they could not show. There was man-made high pressure here. That's what they wouldn't show. Okay, so there's absolutely no reason to have had these 3 holes show up off the coast of Oregon. And one last thing I need to note is that my September video about the Pacific low pressure being killed, they would just burn a hole right in the middle here and just leave it sit there all day. And then on the edge, you start getting clockwise rotation. Well, they were really careful here to avoid that, so that there is no clockwise rotation for these 3 holes here. And I'd love to find it, but I just haven't been able to. So they were aware that someone might look at this and might be able to prove this is a man-made weather attack again if there is any clockwise movement, because clockwise movement proves there's falling, descending air. But the closest we can come is this water vapor map, because it's so, here's early morning and then mid-afternoon, this rotation has stopped. Look at that. I mean, that's proof right there. Something really, really weird happened. This powerful low pressure going all the way to the surface, and yet this rotation, this counterclockwise rotation, stopped. This is a Haarp downburst. In fact, right here we see a little trace of high pressure, because this is moving slightly clockwise. In fact, if we pull up one of these surface pressure maps, and let me show you this guy here, right here. Okay, now this is 1 p.m., 18 Zulu, and right here we have this isobar making a right-hand turn. So the computer's saying right here we have high pressure. We have descending air right there. When the jet stream is showing this really powerful roaring, I mean, this is like 100 knots, over 100 miles an hour roaring up here. Powerful low pressure here, and yet this surface pressure map is showing a high pressure right here. So there's some inconsistency there, and again, it goes back to this water vapor map. So folks, you guys in Oregon just got cheated out of a bunch of really good rain, and also Northern California, because, I mean, look at this dry air. This dry air is not going to produce any rain. Okay, so you folks in these drought-affected areas, you need to study these Pacific low pressures as they're coming on shore, because you will see these attacks. And this one, these Haarp operators worked really hard to hide this. They thought that they had it camouflaged and undetectable, but here it is. Look at those 3 holes. That is not natural. That is man-made. And that is to break up this low pressure without anybody knowing about it. Okay, so I know the Haarp team worked really hard on this, because each one of these holes needs a separate ionospheric setup. So this SBX radar is floating around out in the Pacific, helping to do this weather warfare control. And why are they doing it? Again, it may go back to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, that someone has weather derivatives, future contract on how much rain Seattle and Portland get, and maybe they've got a huge payoff if they can keep the rain below a certain level. I wouldn't doubt that a bit, but whatever's going on here, they worked really hard to hide it, but in my opinion, they were not successful in hiding this. So I hope this is information that you guys in the drought-affected areas can use, and you just got to keep your eyes open. Okay, and thanks for watching.